Morning, everyone. I hope you had yourselves a nice, restful Easter weekend. We are now going to start. We're 1 minute early, but we're going to start anyway with our lesson this morning. When my PowerPoint cooperates. Right, so a lot of you are aware now, but I'm going to repeat myself anyway. This is grade 10 information technology, and my name is Karen Anderson. Today is lesson 5, and what we're going to cover today is using input boxes as dialog boxes, which I will explain what I mean by that just now. We're going to look at some built-in functions from the math unit, being ceil, floor, min, max, and power. We're going to apply these functions in our activity from our Dandelion textbook. And we are then going to look at the round 2 function, which is seldom seen and sometimes can be quite difficult to understand. So I just want to make sure that you know how to use it. Right, so if you remember, the last lesson we left off with the very first question on this activity where we had to click on the menu option and do the plus question. So if we go back, here's my Delphi. Okay, I'm just going to close this error window. Here's my Delphi. And what we did last time was we double-clicked on the menu, which brought it up. We double-clicked on the plus sign. I'm going to put this to the side for now. And this is what we did yesterday. We had to generate, if you remember, the question was store 2 random numbers, one from 1 to 100 and the other one from 101 to 200. And then we had to add them together and output them. So here was the code using random range. Now, again, what's the matter with yesterday? You're all going on about stuff. This was the last lesson, very end of the lesson that we did on Thursday. Okay, not yesterday, no. Okay, so let's try and get you all back into it and have a look at the next question. So the next question is pretty similar. So hopefully we can ease into this. So in the minus menu option, we again need to store 2 random values, one from 500 to 1,000 and the other from 155 to 190. And then we're going to calculate the answer by deducting the smaller number from the larger number, display them in the edits, and the answer in EDT answer. So let's go back. Okay, double click on the minus option. And here I've already put a lot of the code in because a lot of it's similar. So the first thing that I need to do is generate my first random number. So now the question said, between 500 and 1,000. So in my brackets after random range, yes, it's term 1 work. We're doing revision. It was 500, 1,000, whoopsie, and 1. Then the other question is, the other part is 155 to 190. So here I'm going to type 155, 191. I need to take my comments off to make sure that it actually works. And the rest of this I have done for you because this is exactly the same. The question said subtract the smaller number from the bigger number, and I've done that. Then it says display the operator. I've output my numbers and I've output my answers. Okay. Right, so we're not going to spend a lot of time on this because a lot of it is very similar. The next one we're going to look at is we're going to do the times option. Sorry about the dogs. Okay, this time the question says extract the input from the user that's entered the 2 numbers. So the user is going to enter the numbers into the edit now, and then we're going to calculate the answer by multiplying the 2 to each other. Oh, sorry, with each other. Then we're going to display X in the label and the answer in EDT answer. Now, this is another exam tip. I've mentioned this kind of thing before, and nowhere in this question does it tell you that these values that the user could enter could be real. So therefore, you have to pay attention and go, okay, the screenshot shows real values. Therefore, when I put the code in, okay, again, I've done a lot of it. I have to, first of all, declare my variables, and I'm going to declare them this time as real values, only because the screenshot was shows that I have to use real values. So that means for my input, we've got to remember that it's going to be R num1, oopsie, is going to get the value of what? It's time for you lot to wake up. What am I typing next? I know this is revision, and it should be at the tip of your tongues or your fingers to be able to type the answer to this. Either your internet is slow or you are. Oh, you sure you've done it? No. Remember, the question said, get input from the user. So the user is typing a number into EDT num1. So what do I have to do? Oh, guys, string to what? String to float. Yes, EDT. Control space bar to get predictive text, not F. F is for output, huh? Dot text. Okay, and then R num2 is going to get exactly the same, string to float, open brackets, EDT num2 dot text, close brackets, semicolon. Okay, because PJ, were you not paying attention? The question or the screenshot showed me that the numbers that need to be input are real numbers. So if, okay, are you asking why float instead of real? That's the way that Delphi works. Float is another word for real, floating point value. Okay, so these are conversions. We know this. Right, I've put this code in already because it's the same as the rest. And then I've placed the output, the time symbol, in the caption, and then I've commented this out so that we can once again have a look at it. So now EDT answer.text gets the value of float to, here's our F, float to string F, the answer, comma, FF fixed, comma 10, comma 2. Now I need to double check this because, yes, the question shows me 2 decimal places. So therefore, it has to be comma 10, comma 2. Okay, now we're going to move on to the next one, which is the division symbol. Now this question, again, you need to remember. It says store input for 2 integer numbers. So we're going to do the same thing here, but now we're going to take 2 integers. Calculate the answer if you divide the one by the other, and display the division symbol, which gives you a tip here at the bottom on how to get the division symbol. I can't show you this because I don't have a numeric keypad on my laptop, so it does other stuff. So if you press Alt 0247, it will produce this mathematical division symbol. Okay, you see now I'm reading about idiot sandwiches and I'm not concentrating. You guys are distracting me. Right, so let's have a look at how we have to do this, because this demonstrates another important skill. So here's my division. I've already done my input. I num1 gets the value of string to int EDT num1.text. My processing is going to look like what? Okay, yes, if you're not wanting to pay attention, right, so come, what is my processing going to look like? I need to take num1 and divide it. Yes, maybe you should concentrate. Okay, thank you, Adrian. You're close. I want to see the full line of code because this is important. The first part of the code is important. Ah, you're all very fast asleep. No, we're not on min and max yet. All I want to know is, thank you, Adrian. It's got to be our answer. Why can't I use I answer? Because it's real. Because division, oopsie, I num, look at me. I'm also not concentrating. Division always produces a real answer, even if the two numbers I'm dividing are integers. So even if I say 12 divided by 3, the answer is still going to be 4.000. So it has to always be placed in a real variable. Okay, so let's move on because it feels like you're lot of losing concentration. So next question. Now I'm going to look at the temperature menu option in the math unit, and I'm going to retrieve the user's input for degrees in Celsius in EDT num1 and degrees in Fahrenheit in EDT num2 as integers. And then I'm going to use these formulae, which we'll come back to because we're going to have to concentrate to calculate it. Okay, so let's have a look. Back to Delphi. I'm now going to go into the temperature one. And what I've done here to make it more interesting is I've put a whole lot of syntax errors in this code. So let's have a look and see if somebody can tell me. I've said I Celsius gets the value of string to int EDT num1. What am I missing to fix this line of code? Okay. All right, good. You guys are very wide awake. So first of all, I need the dot text. And then, yes, I need the semicolon. How do I know that I need the semicolon? This is important because I see people getting stuck on this so often. Delphi's got his red squiggly line underneath I Fahrenheit, which usually happens when it doesn't recognize what I've said. If I look at it and I go, but hang on, I've declared I Fahrenheit. Why on earth would it have a problem with it? Then I have to go to before where Delphi's telling me the error and place the semicolon there. Okay, then my next step, like I said, is going to be using that formula to do the calculation. So Celsius is going to be Fahrenheit minus 32 times 5 divided by 9. So how does that look like, or how does that look in Delphi code? It's going to be R Celsius gets the value of, open brackets, I Fahrenheit minus 32, close brackets. Why do I need those brackets there? Give me the answer in one word. BODMAS, yes, well done. Okay, BODMAS is important here. Times 5 divided by 9. Okay, so that's my formula. Let's double check it. Fahrenheit minus 32 times 5 divided by 9. I've done it. Now I'm going to do R Fahrenheit, and that's going to get the value of I Celsius times 9. Oopsie, sorry, it was right. I need to just check myself here. Times 9 divided by 5, that's right. All in the brackets, and that is going to have a plus 32. You should all actually, okay, this column, this activity is on page 27. Okay. You can definitely do these activities as practice for when you get back to school. Absolutely. Okay. Right. So the rest of this I have done for you. So we should be happy. Okay. There's my calculation. Let's run it. Oops. Errors. Okay. What is my error here? Okay. Not enough actual parameters is what Delphi has told me. Good. Somebody has noticed that I'm missing, Adrian. You definitely quick on the draw. I'm missing FF fixed. Okay. Okay, I've got an extra bracket. Well, I need an extra bracket. Okay, I'll put it over there. Is that all? Inverted commas. No, it's happy with the inverted commas. I don't believe I've actually foxed you guys. Come on. Ah, good. No, I've got 3 Fs. Okay, you need to go to Africa Teen Geeks' YouTube channel. The next line needs a bracket. Okay, so let's put that in there. Okay. FF fixed is correct. All I've done is I've typed 2 lowercase. That's the only problem. No, Ryan, this is the IT class. Okay. 10,2. Good. Somebody spotted that one. 10,2. Okay. Good. What else? Come on, I can't believe this. No, no gets the value of. Remember, well done. I didn't see James. Well done. Okay. There's no gets the value of when I output to a rich edit. It's read output.lines.add and then the code. Okay, so now, and I'm not going to test my program. I'm just going to make sure that it runs to be sure that my errors are all correct. Right, so that's now my temperature program or my temperature code all done and sorted. Now, before we carry on to the next activity, okay, which I'm going to scroll through here, is going to be this one on cost. Okay. Then guys, please don't be silly. If you don't, I know you're missing social interaction, but really you don't have to ask silly questions. Right, let's move on. The next thing I'm going to explain to you is the input box. Okay, here is the input box, Anki. There we go. That was my comment to myself to remind myself to explain input box. The input box is a code generated component. You will not find it in any of the options in your Delphi program. It can only be generated using code. And the reason why I've used this word dialog box is even in the matric exams, they will tell you, they won't necessarily say use an input box. They will probably say get input from the user using a dialog box. Callum, the amount of work involved in using another form is really not worth the effort. Remember that in an exam, if you're asked to get input and you decide to use a separate form, it's going to take a lot longer than just using this built-in code. Okay, you have to please remember, guys, an input box always receives string, always. Okay, now let's just have a look quickly at what it looks like, and then I'm going to show you a shortcut. How is it different from an edit? I'll show you now because it actually pops up on your form. So I'll show you now exactly what it looks like. Okay, let's just look at the structure quickly. Actually, you know what? Let's just go in here. Okay, and go into the cost option. And I'm going to start with this question and then I'll explain it. So here it says, make use of input boxes to ask the user to enter 3 prices, one for an iPhone, one for an iPad, and the last for a MacBook. I don't know why somebody's asking about Afrikaans. But anyway, let's go back to Delphi. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with just the basics. So I'm going to declare another variable because I want to show you how it works to just get a person's name. So I'm declaring a variable called sname. Okay, sname gets the value of, and this is what the input box looks like, and I want to show you a quick shortcut. If you go input box, open brackets, quote, quote, comma, quote, quote, comma, quote, quote, close bracket, semicolon, you will get the code. Okay, Billy, I am explaining how to use an input box. Right now, I'm just going to use this as an example. I'm going to explain the quotes now as well, Ruben. So I'm using this as an example to see how an input box works. If I just do this, okay, sname gets the value of input box, quote, quote, comma, quote, quote, comma, can't even remember how many quote, quote, another quote, quote, close brackets, and I run my program, okay, and I go to cost, this pops up. Okay, do you see that? Okay, so why would you use an input box rather than an edit? Because maybe you don't want to fill up your program with components or your form, or else maybe you only want to ask them for input at a certain time in your program and you don't want them to enter it unnecessarily. You'll also find that input boxes are very, very useful when it comes to getting input from a user that is in a loop. Okay, so when we get to loops, if you want to ask the user something repeatedly, you can't get it from an edit, so you'd have to use an input box. Okay, so yes, possibly for convenience or just depending on what you need to use it for. Okay, so let's get back and see. So this tells me nothing. I cannot see from this exactly what I need to input and what I need to do. Okay, so let's refine it. Okay, now obviously I've put some of the code in. So this first set of inverted commas here is, if we go back to PowerPoint, whatever I type here is going to appear in the caption part of my new little mini form. It's grade 10, junior. Okay, so whatever I type here is going to almost be like a caption for this little mini form. So if I type name, name is going to appear up there. Then if you have a look, you can see that this input box basically has its own label and edit. So it's like a little mini form, but why create a little new mini form when you can use this code? So now back to Delphi. My next set of inverted commas, I'm now going to type a clearer instruction. Okay, so now I'm going to say, please enter your name. Okay. Okay, I don't understand what you're asking. This is Delphi 2010, Sipiso. Rogan, I'm not understanding your question. So if you want to try and rephrase it, maybe I can help you. Okay, so if I run my program now and I test it again on cost, now it looks a lot nicer. Okay, and my cursor, the focus is set there, and I can type my name, and as soon as I type my name, okay, heading and label and then the input. Yes, exactly, yes. Okay. Okay. Yes, the same code will work on Delphi 10. All code works the same on all versions of Delphi. Even if you've got a version of Delphi 7, it would work. Okay, right. So when I type my name and I click OK, because of the code that I've written, whatever I've typed in these inverted commas is going to go into S name. Okay, somebody wants to know, I'm not sure what page. Okay, it doesn't really matter. It's just why I use Delphi 2010 because it's the version that I've got. It's the only reason. Okay. All right, so let's move on. This last inverted comma, I can put a default in here. So if I typed Spider-Man into these inverted commas and I ran my program, then the input box is going to pop up with a default of Spider-Man. Okay, sorry, Savage, I don't know, I can't remember. Okay, so here, if I click OK, then Spider-Man is just going to go into my variable. Right, so let's have a look. This is not what we're looking for. Let's get back to the activity. Let's look and see. So the activity says use 3 input boxes to get a price for an iPhone and a price for an iPad. It also says to speed up testing of your program, use this sample data in your input. Okay, right now we're on page 29. Okay, so possibly yes. I want to go, I'll tell you now, I want to complete this menu option. So I want to get up to Pythagoras, if that helps you. Okay, so we'll leave name for now. So our phone is going to get the value of input box, quote, quote, comma, quote, quote, comma, quote, quote, close brackets. Okay, now I tell my classes that I, okay, Billy, maybe you should rather go and read a textbook somewhere because it looks like you are looking for attention. Okay, so my three variables that I need to input are our phone, our iPad, and our MacBook. So our phone's going to stay the same, our iPad is going to change, and our MacBook is going to change. So now all I'm doing is being lazy as far as my input is concerned. Okay. This one here, what am I going to type in the first inverted commas for this input box? Now we're quiet again. What heading? What am I going to say? iPhone. Good. Somebody said it. Okay. This is going to be my heading. Somebody said heading, so I'm going to say iPhone. Then here I'm going to say more better instructions. Enter a price, oopsie, a price for iPhone. Okay, and then I was told to use a default value in the code. So my default value is going to be, oopsie, wrong one. Okay, for the iPhone 4899. Must be a very old iPhone. Okay, so here I'm going to type 4899. Question, do I type the R? Okay, 0.99, good. And you're all saying no. I have one other thing that I need to do. Can anybody tell me what it is? I haven't told you, but let's see if you can remember, if you've learned this already. No. Okay. What did I say the input type of an input box is? The data type. Right. What is the data type of our phone? Real. So therefore, they're not going to speak to each other. So what have I got to do with the input from my input box? Close, RJ, A, other way around. Okay. It's going to be from stir to float. And then I'm going to put brackets around the entire input box statement. So I need to convert my whole input box from string to float to put it into R4. Okay, and that is why I cannot put an R in front of the 4899.99, because can Delphi convert something that has an R in it to real? No, good, good. Okay, no, because an R it sees as text. It doesn't know that my R is ranked. Okay, so now this one is going to be iPad. Okay, I'm going to copy and paste again. Okay, and I'm going to say enter price for iPad. Whoopsie, I owed. Okay, fingers are slipping there a little bit. And did anybody see what my value is? It is 7299.50. Okay, so now I've got my iPad, and too bad if I haven't spelt it correctly. Now I'm going to say MacBook and enter a price, which I copied, so I can do that, and I can just change this to MacBook. And the default price for the MacBook, I want to shop at this place. Okay, so there is my input boxes. Yes, I have to have string to float for all of them. Yes, well done. Who's that that's so awake? RJA. Excellent. Okay, I have to apply string to float and the brackets to all of them. Okay, now I've got to go all the way off screen here. Okay, so that's my input done. Okay, Billy, the real problem is, okay, all right. Billy, if you are going to place one more comment, I'm going to ask my host to kick you out. Okay, because if you don't want to pay attention, if you're not learning anything, then maybe you shouldn't be here. And the R, thank you. Was that Sandra that pointed that out to me? Okay. Okay, no R, no R. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, you see, Billy's distracting me with these stupid comments. Okay, so the R mustn't be there because I want to take this number and I want to convert it to a real value. Okay, if I put the R in front of it, then Delphi is going to give me an error. Okay, thank you. All right, so Billy's gone, guys. So that's great. Now we can carry on. Okay, so here we don't want to put an R in front because we want to convert it to a number. As soon as I put an R in front of it, Delphi is going to see it as a string and it's going to crash. Yes, we're getting there, we're getting there, we're getting there. Let's carry on. Right, quickly, let's have a look at the instructions. So it said, calculate the total of the 3 items. Now, what I'm going to do to save us some time is I've put the code in here. So now I'm just going to copy the code, except I'm going to have to delete this. I'm going to copy all of the processing and then we will discuss it, because all of this you should be quite happy to do. Okay. So adding the 2 numbers together, total, this one plus this one. To calculate the average, I'm going to take the total, divide by 3. Why 3? Because there are 3 prices. To calculate, now this one I want to point out to you, please, it's important. Calculate and store the percentage of the iPad cost of the total. How do I calculate a percentage? It's here on your screen. I'm dividing. So the iPad amount out of the total is going to give me the percentage of the iPad cost, and I'm going to then multiply it by 100. Okay. The percentage difference said calculate the percentage difference between the iPhone and the MacBook. So here I'm going to take the MacBook minus the iPhone out of the total phone price and multiply. Then we calculate that. And if we want to increase the price by 9%, this is what we can do. Okay, right. Anybody have any questions at this stage? Because you all seem to be chatting amongst yourselves anyway. Okay, well, Johnny, maybe you'd like to join Billy then. Okay, and then my output is exactly the same. Okay, so this is all pretty straightforward. Okay. Then the restaurant question, I'm actually showing this to you now. It's on page 29 of the Dandelion Delphi book. And I'm saying to you, you go and do that afterwards. We would add the R in our output, Ashil. So if you have a look over here, remember, when I output my calculations, I'm going to wrong one. Okay, when I output my calculations, I'm going to use FF currency if it's money. And that would be, okay, if you don't have the Dandelion Delphi book, right, here is the question. I'm going to put it up so that you can go on YouTube later and quickly look at this question. So the question, you need to find the data, and I'll show you the link. No, you don't get taught Android and iOS. So here's the question. And then what I've also done is, here is the solution. Don't look at this until you've done it yourselves, please. And then you can double check your answers when this is uploaded onto YouTube so that you can pause it to have a read. Oh, well done, Savage. So you've done it. Okay. Right, let's have a look at some new functions quickly. Well, not quickly. Functions in the math unit. Somebody was asking me about them just now. Some words that you need to be sure that you understand. A function performs a calculation using arguments, and they then return an answer to the variable. Now, what do I mean by arguments? Everything that I put in brackets after my call statement is called an argument. So in this instance, it's an actual number. Very often it's a variable, which I'll get to just now in an example. So let's have a look at what these ones do. Okay, seal rounds up to the nearest integer. So ceil is going to have a real argument and a integer result. Floor rounds down to the nearest integer. These should be very easy to remember, because what do you think ceil stands for? Okay, trunk takes the fraction part away. Yes, ceiling, which is high up. Well done, guys. Min and max returns the lowest of two numbers. Max returns the highest of two numbers. And power can be used to raise the first number to the power of the second. And it is always real. So even though 2 to the power of 4 is 16, it's still going to give me a real answer. Okay. Right, let's have a look at examples of this. So if R meters was 7.1 and I said I top gets the value of ceil R meters, it's the result I top is going to hold 8. If I did it with 5.8 and floor, it's going to hold 5. If I used power, okay, I can use real for base and exponent or integer for base and exponent. But the important thing to remember is either way, the answer is going into a real value. Okay, very, very important that you note that it's always real. Okay, now I can't, so there, power, always real. Here's examples of min and max. So I can use min and max with real or integer values. And depending on what I'm determining, so the answer, yes, you could just use reals all the time. Yes, depending, yes. Okay. Right. And here, min and max also, you could use real all the time, but just to show you that you can use integer if you need to. Okay. Right, let's go back to Delphi. And now we're going to use the min and max function. So again, here the question says, okay, we've done all of this. Sorry, guys. Min and max. 2 random values, calculate and store the smaller and the larger number, and calculate and store the power. So here again, I've generated my random numbers. I have done my output, and my code is then going to look like this. Okay, again, I'm just going to copy the code so that you can see rather than retyping it, because I type slowly. You've done it already. Cool. So let's look at it quickly. Max, apply max to the two numbers. Min, apply min. Power is then going to raise the one to the other, and it's going to output it. Okay. How do you know when to use? You have to look at your sample output to know when to use real or integers. Okay. ABS is absolute value. So basically what it does is if the number is negative, it removes the negative. So it always makes a number positive. If it's already positive, it'll leave it as positive. If it's negative, it converts it to negative. Okay. Yes, highest, but the highest integer. Okay. RJA, are you explaining because people are getting confused? Frac returns the decimal part. Thank you. Frac returns the decimal part of the number. Okay. Right. Here's abs and frac now. Let's have a look at them. We didn't do those ones, so let's have a look. Okay. So this question I'm going to do with you because people are asking. Store random value from -100 to -1 and add a random decimal value to this number. So here's my code. I've stored my random value from -100 to 0. How do I add? Can you remember? Because I did show you this code. Can you remember how to now add a random decimal value? First of all, I'm going to need my real random or my real variable. Now, how do I've generated my from -100 to 1? Now, how do I make it real? I'll give you a clue. I'm obviously going to use I num1 plus, yes, good, just plain random. Remember, random will generate a real number that starts with 0 point. If I add it to what I've already generated, I'm going to have my real random value. Okay, let's have a look there. Store the decimal values of this number. So I've got R. Now, I didn't explain this to you, so now I'm going to do it now. R frac is going to get the value of frac, open brackets, R real. Okay, because frac chops off the number part and only gives me the real part. So basically, it's going to give me what's in random. Okay. Right, next question. Round and store the positive number down to the closest integer value. So down to the closest integer value is going to be I num1 is going to get the value of floor, open brackets, and then it's going to be R real. Okay, and then the next one is just to output it, and that is what I have done here. Okay, positive number, no, I need this one as well. So R positive is going to get the value of ABS R real. So like I said, the abs function is going to turn this into a positive value. Okay, so remember, here are some more functions that you need to know. Okay, and now the last thing that I want to quickly, and I'm not going to do this with you, we will do this next time. Let's have a look at what we have covered today. So we now know that an input box is a code-generated component. You will not find it on your tool palette. There are lots and lots of functions available in Delphi, and we've only covered a few of them. Those of you who do manage to get your hands on the Dandelion Delphi book will see that it has something called Appendix C in it that explains lots and lots of different functions that are available that I haven't even covered. We're going to be doing quite a few of them, the date functions, in the next lesson. I've added the round 2 here, but I'm actually I need to rather spend a little bit more time explaining how to actually do the round 2 function. Right, then the book, you need to go, and I'll put this up in future, you need to go to the ITSI website, so the ITSI website, but remember, you actually have to pay for it. All right, it does cost money. I think it's 70 Rand, but you can find the ITSI, ITSI website where you can download it as an ebook. And then if you go to this URL, you lucky savage, you can then download the data. Okay, and that's the data that I'm going to be using in these lessons. Okay. So what are we going to look at next time? We're going to look at the logic needed to do calculations and converting numbers. We're going to be working with dates, and we're going to do very simple string handling. Okay. Right, please don't forget to look us up on social media and join me tomorrow morning where we can go through and start getting to term 2 work as soon as possible. Okay. Thanks, guys. See you soon. Tomorrow is the next lesson, 10 o'clock. Yeah, 10 o'clock. Okay. Bye, guys. Go and do that activity, please.